So today we're going to be discussing some general social media management tips for beginners. So if you have a new business, these tips could definitely help you get rolling in the right direction. So sit back and relax and let's get on into the tips. So my first tip I recommend is deciding on one or two social media platforms that fit your needs the most. So I always tell my clients I'd rather see you be really successful on one or two platforms than just be kind of so-so or average than 3, 4, or 5. Being everywhere can be super, well, not super overwhelming, but it can be overwhelming. That's the honest truth. It could be pretty difficult. So start by mastering just one or two that you are confident you could succeed in, whether that be from, a user-friendly standpoint or where your audience is actually spending their time. So for example, if you find Instagram super easy and convenient to use and you find LinkedIn, just to be very overwhelming, take that as your sign to start on Instagram and maybe put LinkedIn on the back burner, at least for now. That doesn't mean you can't introduce it at a later date once you're more comfortable, but start where you can with the resources that you have. And I promise you, it'll make the overall process much, much simpler. Sometimes when you're everywhere, you're almost nowhere because you're focusing your energy on the wrong thing. So focus your time and energy and resources on the platforms you love and are confident your audience is spending their time. And I promise you, you will see the results and it'll make the overall process much easier and a lot less stressful, which at the end of the day is what you really want. Keep in mind is that consistency is way more important than frequency. So what that means is I'd rather see you be super consistently posting, 1 to 3 times a week over a very long period of time than posting every single day for 2 weeks and then taking a 3-month break and then posting every day for another month and then taking a 6-month break. Because the truth is that happens a lot, especially when you set overly ambitious goals to be posting over and over and over. So starting more modest and being consistent could help get you into really good habits that will only help you later on. Most clients, I typically recommend a posting routine of around 2 to 3 times a week, give or take, depending on, their goals, their needs, their style. But if you're in the position where you can only handle 1 to 2 posts a week right now, that is totally fine. And you can do that for as long as you feel comfortable with. And then once you feel, a bit more confident in, the posting, you could amp it up if need be. But if you want to keep that base for longer, that is also totally fine. Consistency is also super important for the algorithm because once they see you're consistently involved in the platform and you're there and you're active, the algorithm is more inclined to show your profile to other pages. And then there's also the habit aspect of it. It takes quite a bit of time typically to form really good habits. So once you get into the routine of posting, a couple times a week, soon it'll become second nature and you won't even think about it anymore. Next, I want you to be mindful of your content and how it is actually performing. Looking at your analytics is super, super key. So if you see certain content significantly outperforms other types of content, then that's your sign to post that style more regularly. Those significantly outperform photos in regards to, engagements, so comments and likes, and then the overall reach and growth in followers, then that's your sign that your audience just may prefer videos, and that is not a bad thing. It's actually, a good thing because what your audience likes. But then vice versa, you could look at your analytics and see that your audience prefers photos to videos. And again, that's totally fine. Numbers don't lie and can definitely teach you a lot about what does and doesn't work. I typically recommend looking at your numbers every 2 weeks or so to see how you're doing. So that way, when you're making the content batch for the next period, you have an idea of what you should be focusing on and, not focus on. The next hack you're going to want to keep in mind is engagement. So engagement is not optional. It is absolutely mandatory. And by that, I mean responding to comments and direct messages. I know it could be a little, I guess one of those tedious tasks that may not be the most fun, but it is so important. I respond to everything in bulk because it is just so much easier. There's a few reasons why it's super important. The algorithm definitely prefers when you're active and engaging with your audience. That's one thing to keep in mind. Then another factor is it's also like the relationship building aspect. So people definitely notice when you respond to comments and when you don't respond. They really appreciate it. It makes them feel seen and it makes them feel heard. Even if you just respond back with a smile or a simple thanks so much or something in that kind of family, that is really all you need. So for example, if someone comments, hey, this is great. Hey, I love this. This was super awesome. Thanks for the tip. Just respond back. Thanks so much. Insert their name and a smile face. And of course, if they ask a specific question like, hey, what are your hours? What's this price? Something like that. Simply respond, hey, great question. Our hours are 9 to 5. Hey, great question. Our this product is $20 or something. And then of course, if you get the same questions consistently, which you very well may, you could even make a template that you could just copy and paste. So that's just a little hack. So if you've been in business for a while, it's only a matter of time until you encounter an unhappy customer, which is super fair. It happens. It's just the way of the game. So if a customer does comment with a complaint, I typically would recommend moving that over to the direct messages or alternatively to email, just so it's a bit more private. So let's just say a customer comments, hey, I ordered your product and it arrived broken. What do I do? You could just respond, thanking them for bringing it to your attention and that you apologize for the trouble and you'd love to help make it right. And encourage them to send you a direct message to, discuss, a refund or something, or you could tell them to email your customer service team and they'll take care of it. And that way they get the support they need. It's just much, much easier than going back and forth in the comments, especially if you do need to give them a refund and you need to collect, personal info from them. So that's just something to keep in mind. And the final tip I want to give you is to give everything time and be patient. It does happen, but it's very, very unusual to wake up with, hundreds of thousands of followers in one day. It definitely takes time. It is a marathon, not a sprint. So be patient, study your analytics, know your audience, and just keep doing what you think is right. I know sometimes it could be a little frustrating if you expect a certain piece of content to do, amazingly well and it just doesn't do that great. I totally get it. But it is a process, so patience is key. I know we covered a lot in this video, so if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. In addition, feel free to comment any specific requests for upcoming content. And if you want to learn more about general, social media management and how I can support you in your business, all of my information will be in the description below. I do offer free 30-minute consults, so if you'd like, you could definitely go ahead and book one of those. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.